Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ty here, and welcome back to another NFL predictions. And last week we go 10-5. Not my best work, but hoping to rebound this week as we start with tomorrow's game. And the Saints and Jags here. Now the Saints, I don't think I've gotten a single Saints game correct this year, and I feel like I say that every week. But I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a solid game tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one to watch. And ultimately, the Jaguars are going to come out on top, barely over the Saints here, as they win this one 23-20. Saints defense is always formidable. You could say they really have better skill position players, honestly, than the Jaguars. But I do trust the Jaguars coaching staff and everything a lot better. And I think they just know how to win games more. So I'm picking the Jags here 23-20. Next up, we have my Falcons at the Bucs. As much as I'd love to pick the Falcons here, I don't know if I can. I think our defense is going to be able to shut down the Bucs offense a little bit. I think Baker will struggle in this game. But I also know that the Buccaneers are amazing against the run. They have been really like the past 5 years, and that's how the Falcons win games. If they're not able to run the ball, they're not able to win games. So they're not able to run the ball, so they don't win this game. So they lose this one 13-17 in a pretty low-scoring game. Of course, here, two pretty good defenses, so I think it is low-scoring. But the Bucs ultimately come out on top, 17-13 over the Falcons. Next up, we have the Raiders and Bears. Now, a game where both quarterbacks, availability is up in the air here. We really don't know who's gonna really play, who's not gonna play, or maybe they'll both end up playing. Who knows? But in that case, I really have to go with the team I think has just a better overall team. And to me, that is the Raiders. I just trust that offense. The offense has a lot more talent. If you take away Justin Fields' running ability, that offense is not as good. Really, it is not really an amazing offense regardless. But then with the Raiders, Josh Jacobs hasn't been playing great, but you still have Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, Jacoby Myers has actually been playing really good the past couple weeks. That offense looks pretty solid at this point, besides the turnovers. But I think this is a close one, but they are ultimately able to win over the Bears here in a pretty good one, 17-13. Next up, we have what should be a snooze fest. Honestly, a good defense in the Browns, not necessarily a great offense. I don't think their offense is that special. Without Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, of course, lighting it up last week with like 4 catches for over 100, which was incredible. But I do think their defense is enough for them to overcome a Colts team that's very reliant on the run game, and the Browns are great at stopping the run. So I picked the Browns here to win this one in a pretty weird score, 19-10. I just think the Browns win this one. There's not really much competition. I think the Browns, this is probably similar to the Chiefs Broncos game. The offense isn't really that explosive, and they get a lot of field goals. Neither offense is that explosive, except in the Chiefs' case, their offense was explosive. They just couldn't get in the end zone, which is kind of, what the Browns are going to do here. But ultimately, it's going to be a win for the Browns. So the Browns win this one 19-10. And next up, we have a game that was really hard for me to pick. This was one of my harder picks of the week. Giants coming off nearly an upset win over the Bills. Although I do think the Bills are definitely struggling right now. That was still impressive nonetheless. But I feel like this is not a good matchup for them. I feel like with the way their offensive line has been struggling, Chase Young and just, there's a few solid pieces on that Commanders D line that I think is going to be able to cause havoc. So I can't. I don't have many reasons to pick the Giants here, so I'm not going to pick them. I pick the Commanders here by 1 point. I do think it's going to be close, yes, but I do think the Commanders ultimately come out on top here, 21-20. And here we go, dude. I went back and forth on this game. I did. This was probably my hardest game to pick this week. I think it's a really fun game. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. Really, two quarterbacks that are in the MVP conversation. Yeah, you have two quarterbacks here that are really in the MVP conversation right now. But I just think ultimately I can't pick against the Lions. I picked the Lions to win this one 23-20 over a good Ravens team, but I just cannot pick the Ravens here. I'm certainly rooting for the Ravens here. I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for the Ravens, but I cannot pick them here. So I picked the Lions to win this one 23-20. Next up, we have what should be a cakewalk for the Bills. Bills, Patriots. And I heard a Bills fan say that every time they are playing the Patriots recently, it's been close games, and I'm like, bro, what? You literally played them in the playoffs, you beat them 3 times in a year, and you had a perfect game, the only perfect game in NFL history where you scored a touchdown every time you had the ball against the Patriots, and you blew them out of the water, I think twice that year. Or maybe you, like, at the end of the day, the only time they lost was, like, in the crappy weather where Mac Jones threw, like, 3 passes or whatever. And, like, I wouldn't be concerned if I'm a Bills fan. I think the Bills win this one. I do think it is relatively close because they are missing some players, but they still win this one. I don't think there's too much to be worried about for the Bills here. So I think they win this one 24-16. Next up, we have the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Now, I really want to pick the upset here with the Cardinals, but I've picked against the Seahawks too many times. I have to pick the Seahawks here to win this one 27-20 over the Cardinals. I think it's a good one. See, I mean, this is a relatively close game, but I can't do that one, bro. 27-20. I think the Seahawks win. Their defense is great. Their offense is iffy. I mean, I've been saying this, if the Seahawks have a complete game, if they can have a complete game, they're like a top 3, maybe a top 3 team in the NFL, but probably like a top 3 team in the NFC, for sure. Like really, dude. Maybe top 4, maybe not quite top 3, but still, they're incredible when they are at their best. But it's very rare. But I think they do enough here. Enough blabbering. They win this one 27-20. Next up, we have another game that was hard for me. I went back and forth on this one, and honestly, I'm trying to remember who I picked right now. Okay, I remember. Yeah, this was a tough one because, the Rams and the Steelers, both incredibly well coached teams that really shouldn't have these records in some ways. But it's a Rams home game here, which does it really mean anything? Does it? There might be more Steelers fans there than Rams fans. Who knows? But ultimately, I had to go with the Steelers. Okay, I trust that defense to make enough plays to win this one. I picked the Rams from the beginning here, and I will definitely regret this one if the Rams win, but I had to go Steelers here. I had to. I think the Steelers win this one 16-13 over the Rams. And next up, we have the Chiefs-Chargers, which every time these two match up, fireworks spark, bro. It's always a good game, and I'm expecting another classic good one that the Chiefs come out on top, winning here 30-27 over the Chargers here. The Chiefs actually put up 30, dude, for the first time since that Bears game, or the first time this year, besides that Bears game. And yeah, they end up beating the Chargers here. Not too much to say here. Their defense, does allow over 20 here, or 21, whatever the most they've allowed. But yeah, I think the Chargers offense is able to move the ball on them and stuff. But ultimately, it ends up being a close game, but with the Chiefs winning 30-27. And next up, we have two teams that I would not have expected to be here at this point. 1-5 and 2-3 for these teams. I really expected both of these teams to have better records at this point. I know the Packers one's probably a little bit of a hot take. Most people probably did expect them around this type of winning range here. But the Broncos is definitely a surprise to everyone. But I think the Broncos continue losing here as the Packers win this one 16-13 over the Broncos. I think this is not a very high-scoring game, not too much offense. But, I mean, you'll have a play every now and then. It's not going to be the most entertaining game to watch. But the Packers' defense is able to shut down that offense. And the Packers' offense is able to do just enough. Jordan Love in the clutch has actually been really good this year. Honestly, most of the time, at least, he's been pretty good in the clutch. But anyways, he will clutch up. The team will clutch up and get that game-winning field goal drive to win this one, 16-13. And we have Sunday Night Football game of the week. In my opinion, it has to be Eagles, Dolphins, an epic showdown between two teams who are 5-1 and have had ups and downs. Really just one down for the Bills. The Bills versus the Bills for the Dolphins. But it was a big loss. So I think ultimately the more complete team here wins. I trust the Eagles defense way more than I trust the Dolphins defense. So I think they're ultimately able to win this one. It's still relatively close, but the Eagles managed to win it 30-24. And ending it off with Monday Night Football, we have the Vikings-Niners here. Now, another one I kind of wanted to go with the upset. Of course, I picked against the Vikings last week because I am an idiot. But I couldn't do it this week. I'm delusional. I did do it again this week because this is actually a game they're definitely going to lose. Okay, the 49ers coming off that loss are going to be hungry. Purdy's going to want some revenge here. And they're going to ultimately win this one over the Vikings, 27-13. McCaffrey might play even without McCaffrey or Debo. I think they win this one. So yeah, ultimately 49ers win this one, and that's the last game. So if you guys did enjoy this one, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.